Hey guys, it's Victor. I'm on a platform and I'm getting ready to cross the tracks over there. I've got to use my phone to get out of this train station because my Suica card is on this phone. So I'm curious to see if it'll stop recording what's going to happen. We're going to find out in a minute. And I am in kind of the country where I don't need these anymore, where my in-laws live. And today is my, I think, 32nd year anniversary, 33rd year anniversary. I think I've been in Japan for 32 years as of today. So this is my RAINICHI anniversary. RAINICHI means the day you came to Japan. Oh, oops. I took my mask off a little bit too early because I think there were some more people, so I put this thing back on again. People still wearing masks in Japan. I know you guys in the States don't wear masks anymore. But the rates are pretty high in Japan right now. I think 200,000. Whoa, that thing just ran. Let's look at the train here. Isn't that annoying? That is definitely not ASMR. That's like the opposite of ASMR. There we go. But this is about as real a video as you can get. That's my point. I want to make a real ass video. On our last day. Here we go. Let's turn over. There we go. You get to see. That kid's out of his mind there. Running around. There's another train right there. Yeah. Happy kid, happy kid. Okay, we're gonna go through the gate now, and I'm gonna use the phone to see if I can get out here. Ready? Let's try it. No, it did not work. It turned off. So I guess that does not work. What do you know? At least now I can take off the mask. Oh my God. I'm at Kaniya Station. You can probably see that behind me. It is hot as hell today. Jesus Christ. I'm wearing one of my, what do you call them? Signature Hawaiian shirts. In Japan they call aloha shirts. I came to Japan 32 years ago today. And my Japanese is definitely not as good as it should be after 32 years compared to someone who lived in the States for 32 years. My father's lived in, most people I think what you would expect, right? My father's lived in America for about 53 years. And his English is not perfect, but it's damn good. I mean, he's got an accent, but... Oh, can I get through here? Oh. Let's run through here. Okay, there we go. Okay, well, I like this town because it's kind of in the country, but not exactly. I'm a good 25-minute walk away, so you'd expect for a 25-minute vlog here. A little history about Japan, my relationship with Japan, in case you don't know it. Oh, we look at this tiny little town. I think this is Kaniya City. A lot of cities have these tacky things in the windows. I don't know why they bother, but but first let's get a strong zero going. I was on this little diet for a while, where if I lose 2 kilograms, I'll let myself drink. If I don't drink until I lose 2 kilograms. But since it is my anniversary, let's find a reason to break that rule. Kanpai and happy anniversary to me. This is my favorite strong zero. Is it shikwasap? And they got English on it now. They didn't used to. It used to be all katakana. It's kind of strange. Oh wow. It is hot. I'm happy. Things are good. I put up a video yesterday about racism in Japan, which is a very rare occurrence. But something definitely worth talking about when it happens, worth video worthy for sure. I want to go back a little bit and tell you about my history here in Japan and how I got here. So when I was a boy, my father used to talk up Japan, not in a Japanophile kind of way, because this is pre-internet. But my dad was impressed with Japan's economy, and my dad is a really hard worker, and my dad has always been my hero. I'm lucky in that respect. I know a lot of you don't have good relationships with your parents, and I won't even say my relationship as a boy was that close. But I always looked up to my father, and I always thought he was cool, and I knew he was strong. He would he's works with the dead, as I've told you in previous videos. So I would sometimes visit him at work, and he'd be standing over a dead body, preparing it, etc. So he was a respected member of the community. I guess you could say he's a doctor of sorts. You could say that. But anyway, that's not why I respected him. The reason I respected him is because he is the epitome, or he is a living character from a Horatio Alger story. And for those of you who don't know, and please tell me if you know, just out of curiosity, tell me if you know who Horatio Alger was. If that name means anything to you guys, because I think our education has changed quite a bit. There's things that I know you don't know, and I'm sure there are a lot of things you do know that I don't know. This is not a competition on who's more knowledgeable, and definitely not who's intelligent, because I am the king of the morons. I scratched my 360 camera today, which just proves I'm a moron, because that's the second time I've done it. And why didn't I put the protective lens caps on it? I'm an idiot. Okay, anyway, so when I was a boy, my dad used to talk up Japan and its economy and the people, and how impressed he was. I love Japanese rice fields, and how he was impressed with the way Japan had rebuilt its economy after World War II, after losing. And there used to be a joke a long time ago. But I haven't heard this joke for a while, but it's about a 30-year-old joke, or maybe more, that goes, if Japan loses another world war, they're going to take over the world. Because what happened after World War II was that Japan bounced back, of course, with a lot of help from the USA. Not to detract from that at all. But the truth is, a lot of countries got a lot of help from the USA, and none of them bounced back like Japan did. So Japan's work ethic is amazing. Its organizational skills are amazing. And I think maybe more, I don't know. So why did Japan become so successful? I don't even know. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm going to go down off the street because I've been down the street. It's a beautiful little street. I think honesty has a lot to do with it. Japan is a really honest country. There's countless stories of people dropping wallets and passports and cameras and losing things in Japan and getting them back. This just happened to me. I left my computer when I was traveling with my kid. I'd leave my computer in a bag on the train, and someone would turn it into the station. And I even expected it to be turned in, so I would go in to the last station expecting it to be there, and it often was. I've lost my keys on various occasions. Remember, this makes me sound so forgetful, but I'm talking about a 32-year span. A 32-year span. By the way, this is a school for kids that, I think I might have featured this in a video before. This is a school for kids that do not want to go to school. It's a very small school, and kids of all ages come here. So it's basically kids who have a phobia of going to school. Yeah, I've been here before with my son. We traveled here. Did a live show with a GoPro here a long time ago. Oh, I love these little streets though. Those are the parks. Look at that. They're nice. You know what? Let's flip the camera around so you can enjoy the view instead of just my face, right? Get a good look because you're not going to see it anymore for a while. Maybe. Okay. Probably better quality there. We're back. Now I can talk and not worry about framing myself and enjoy my strong zero. Anyway, so my dad always talked up Japan and the people and the samurais and how they were tough as hell. And he loved that Kira Kurosawa. That's definitely true. And he would say, you know, those were real men, you know, the samurais. And he loved those movies. And when I was a boy, he'd exposed me to Seven Samurai and Yojimbo, and maybe that was about it, you know, but that was enough. But the point was that the samurai were honorable men, and Japan is an honorable country, and hard work was important, and he valued all of those things. I'm not sure if this is going to be trying to get to my in-laws' house by just sensing. I think it's in that direction. It's gonna be tough, but why not? We can get lost. I might turn off the camera during my rambling just to check the map. But anyway, so I'd always had this idea that Japan was cool. Now, when I was in college and all that, there wasn't anime and manga weren't such a big deal. At least, or maybe it was, but I didn't know about that world, you know. I did know about Akira, the movie. There's a movie called Akira. It's an anime movie. There was one, that was about it. But I think Japan was not particularly cool when I was in college. Or Japanese girls. I mean, there probably were some guys who were like into Asian women, yellow fever stuff, but I did not run in those circles. And despite what anyone thinks, I definitely did not come to Japan with that intention. Oh, look at that, cattails. I have not seen cattails in a long time. This is something you see in America quite a bit, but not in Japan too much. Look at that. Yeah. Anyway, why don't we do this wide lens so you can see everything at the same time. So I came to Japan not with the intention of chasing girls or getting into the anime life or manga or any of that crap. I came to Japan, oh, I think the river, that's the best way to go, down by the river. We'll go that way. I came to Japan because I thought, I had heard from other people that you could become an English teacher and work here for a while and experience a different culture. And I did, well, I was interested in samurai culture a bit. But most importantly, I loved English. I'm gonna go in front of this car because this car looks like it's got some tacky stuff. See this car right in front of me? It's full of junk in the front window. So I want to show you all the stuff that's in the window. Look at that guy. He's friendly. I think we go by the river. I can navigate my way to my in-laws' house a little bit easier. This is a sushiro, which is the famous revolving conveyor belt sushi restaurant that Tikio Sam years and years ago. I don't know if you know who he is. He put a GoPro on the conveyor belt and created quite a stir. I didn't care much about it, but I wasn't like super against it. But it was interesting to see how the Japanese and the Gaijin reacted differently to it. I made a video about that. But anyway, so I came to Japan because I wanted to be an English teacher. I like English. I wanted to teach English, to be a professor of English. But before that, most importantly, I had two questions in my mind. One of them was, I was curious about my language ability, or my ability to acquire other languages. Because although I speak Spanish, hablo un poco de español porque nací en Perú y mis viejos me hablan en español. I speak Spanish because I was born in Peru and my parents spoke Spanish to me as a child. My Spanish is these days far from perfect, but it's still, I still pretty much understand everything. Or let's say 90%, 95%. Yeah, drying. You got the drying onions there. Always interesting. Anyway, so I spoke Spanish, but I had heard that Japanese was a really difficult language. Turns out that Czech. Oh, look at that Shiba. Oh, you don't look at me. I don't want it. It turns out that Czech, as from Czechoslovakian Czech, you know, that supposedly is the most difficult language in the world. I don't know how they can judge shit like that, but it's something I read. Who knows how accurate that is. Japanese is actually not that difficult. However, nobody speaks Japanese too when you come over here, so it's hard to practice Japanese. That's the big problem. Yeah, I know this neighborhood. I've walked through here years and years ago. It's been a while since I've made one of these long walking blogs in the country. Anyway, so I was curious about whether I could acquire a third language. And more importantly than that, I was curious about, I wanted to know whether I was cut out for teaching, because my life goal at that point was to come back to America. I graduated from NYU and I had English literature major, a minor in psychology, and almost a minor in film. A couple credits away from that. A couple credits away from a double major in psychology. But like, I'm definitely not bragging, because a major in English and psychology are both equally kind of worthless. Business is the way to go. Get a major in business. Or don't get a major at all. Whatever. Oh man, it stinks like... Oh my god, it smells horrible here. It smells like poop. Or dog, I don't know, dog shit, cow shit, some kind of shit. Oh, look at that. I love the fields. I don't mind sweating you on days that I can sweat, you know. It's a Sunday today. My wife had to work late, which is something I'm trying to get. I think I'm encouraging her to quit her job, because I don't think we really need the money if she gets. And, but you know, she's got that Japanese work ethic thing. Gotta get stuff done. So she takes advantage of her parents on weekends to go work one day. I work a lot too. I mean, I work 6-7 days a week. I had a very rare day off yesterday. We went to the Matsuri, my son's Matsuri. Had a great but short but great time. Let me stay on the subject, because I know you guys don't like me rambling on and on, but so let's get back to it. Why did you come to Japan, Victor? Well, good question. Thanks for asking. That says getting the store ready. What is this place? Must be some kind of restaurant. One reason was I wanted to learn Japanese, and the other reason was I wanted to see if I actually liked teaching before I came back to America and got my master's and PhD in literature and became a professor. And then I could bang a lot of co-eds. No, just kidding. I just said, just kidding. But who knows? I mean, maybe that's what I was thinking. It was 35 years ago. I don't remember. Konnichiwa. No, konnichiwa. Most people say konnichiwa. Some people don't. Okay, so I came here August 7th, 1991. I used to think it was 1992, but I found a calendar from New York City that I held on to, and it had dates in it written down about things I was supposed to be doing in 1991 here in Japan. So obviously I had already arrived. So anyway, I got here, and I got to back up a little bit. Let's see. After my second year at university in New York City, and I got into better universities, by the way. Not that it matters, but I chose New York City because I had this romantic, idealized version of New York City, you know. If you can make it there, you make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York. And I gotta show you this. New dun 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 dun. If I'm gonna sing, I gotta get on camera. Anyway, so I had this idealized version of New York City. I like how people just hang their shoes. Look at that. People just hang their shoes out there. Isn't that nice? Maybe I'll go to the main camera, the close-up camera, so you can see everything close up. So I was in New York University for a couple of years. But then I started feeling a little lost. Like, am I really using my dad's money? Because my dad paid for my tuition. I paid for everything else. Give me a little bit of credit. But in those days, tuition wasn't that bad. It was $7,500 a year, which is still a lot of money. My dad being in the business of the dead. Some baby's crying his ass off. my dad paid for tuition, and he agreed. He was willing to pay for more, but I said, no, Dad, let me do what I can to be like you and pay for something. So I paid for my housing, my food, and my clothing, and he paid for tuition. I'm sure he helped me out a little bit in the beginning, like probably dorm the first 6 months or something. Come on, that's fine. It's an MR2. What is that? Is that a cool car? I have no idea. Oh, this is a nice house. I know nothing about cars. You got a... Huh? Look at that. What? Why is... Now this house is close up. Hold on. Let me back up a little bit. Oh, there we go. Now you can see the whole house. Nice house. I think the lens is dirty. I just noticed. Let me see if we wipe the lens here. Let me look at the lens here. The lens dirty here. Wipe it. That baby's still crying. Okay. Making a real video, man. So let's back up a little bit. Oh, nice. Like the inside. So I was at New York University for 2 years. And then I started getting antsy and lost and wondering if I was spending my dad's money right. So I called him up and I said, I want to take a year off. I'm going to go to South America, relearn Spanish a little bit, brush up my Spanish, backpack all around Central South America, and then come back and then figure out what I want to do with my life. And he was like, okay, go ahead. He was cool about it. My dad's philosophy on life is just do your best and money will come. Don't worry about the money. Just do your best. He once told me, even if you're a garbage man, if you decide to become the best garbage man, maybe you'll figure out a way to make garbage collecting better. Let's go down this little road. Don't you like going down a little road? Let's see what's down here. This row of cheap houses on the left. There seems to be a garden back there, so we'll see. Anyway, so that's what we did. That's what I did. Took a year off. I made a list of a bunch of books, probably Marcus Aurelius, folk, Grecian biographies. I don't know. I don't remember but it was a list of 20 books or 30 books. I actually took many of them with me. And my idea was I'm going to go to Machu Picchu, sit on a mountain and read books. Of course, it didn't work out that way because as soon as I started my trip, oh, cool. Let's go this way. There's a temple over here. As soon as I started my trip, I started making friends because I'm a gregarious and friendly person. Look at the tiny roads, man. Oh, look at that. Okay. I recognize this temple. I'm pretty sure if I go up here, I will recognize this temple. Look at the seeds. Look at this stuff here. Anyway, so I started my trip, and how did it start? I think this particular trip started in Peru. And I started in Peru, and I was just hanging out in Peru at my aunt's and uncle's house. They had 2 little kids, my cousins. I started there, and I hung out, and I made friends in Peru. Actually, Gaijin friends who were also traveling. There was a club there called South American Explorers Club, and how did that work? Anyway, I don't even know if it's there anymore. You can look it up, but it was this club in Lima where people who are exploring, doing major real exploring in South America, they would go there and get maps, because this is before Google Maps, and you guys have no idea how sweet you got it, man. In those days, you had to get maps. You needed to carry maps around with you, geographical maps and maps that showed you all those things, information that specific, maps that were specifically made to talk about one thing. The bird. Nice house. So I got, I was there. I found out about this club. I don't know how. Maybe it was, you know what? I think I had a South American handbook. Yeah, there's a book called the South American Handbook. I probably still have a copy of it. Probably held on to that. And in it, they talk about the South American Club, or South American Explorers Club. I forgot what it's called. But I went there. It was in Lima. And I made friends with people there. I think there's a woman who worked there I want to say her name was Catherine, but who knows? This was back in 1987 or so. And I made friends with people there, right? They had a Peruvian guy who worked there who was gay. And he was my first gay friend, I think. Well, the first gay friend I knew about. No, that's not true. That's my second gay friend. I met my first gay friend was in college, freshman year of college that I knew about. I bet you guys all have gay friends. Tell me if you have a gay friend, by the way, if you're in high school. Because I think things have changed, man. I think back 30 or 40 years ago, it was rare to have a gay friend in high school. I think now it'd be rare if you didn't know a gay person in high school. Anyway, the guy who worked there was this Peruvian guy. He spoke English pretty good. But he was also gay, and he would tell me about it. He felt like he was a woman. And he said he kind of resented his penis. He said he didn't like having a penis. Anyway, nothing ever happened in case you're wondering, but I've never had a gay experience actually, but not that it matters. Anyway, I mean, I've been approached many times. I was the good-looking guy that guys like to approach when I was younger. Not anymore. I haven't been hit on by a gay guy in a long time. Oh well, c'est la vie, c'est la vie. So, look at that, a bathroom. There's a bathroom sitting out in the middle of the road. Isn't that great? It's Japan, man. So, this is taking a long-ass story, huh? So, I made friends with people there. Then I started traveling all around South America. Anyway, on one of my solo travels, and I don't remember, why was I? I don't know why when this happened. But sometime during that travel, I think, or very soon afterwards, I went to a town in Bolivia named Potosi. And Potosi, P-O-T-O-S-I, is a silver mine town. It used to be a really rich town, and they used to mine silver out of it. And it used to be a huge town, rich town. Now it was basically a stop for tourists. Had nothing to do. Bolivia is a developing country, and it's kind of backwards. A few years after I was there was reports of people getting kidnapped all the time, Westerners, because it was easy. We were easy targets, especially women. They would kidnap women and make money off them by getting ransoms and shit, right? Anyway, I was in Potosi. The only tourist in Potosi, and the only tourist at this hotel, except for Naoki. Naoki was a Japanese guy, a Japanese kid. I love these streets, huh? Yeah, let's get off the road here. It's hot on this main road. Let's get in some shade. So Naoki and I became friends. We spent one night in the lobby drinking beers and talking. And he was a very interesting Japanese guy. He was in college, or maybe just graduated. I think he was before college, but he was young. And his whole deal was he was going to travel all around the world, and he was going to stay in each region and take language lessons until he spoke the language well enough to travel around. So he spoke rudimentary Spanish. And anyway, he was doing this, and we only met one night, but after that he went off, and I think before that he had spent time in the Middle East, and he had learned some Persian and whatever they speak out there. I won't pretend I even know. Middle Eastern language, whatever it is. Arabic. Anyway, he spoke a lot of languages, but an elementary amount of languages, right? Good job. There's the garbage there. He's separating the garbage. Huh? Anyway. Is he going to tell me to go back home too? So we became friends. And soon after that, I went back. That was my first time in South America. And soon after that, I went back. I must have been on my way to Buenos Aires. I remember now. I was on my way to South America, to Buenos Aires, Argentina, where I met my fiancée, Alejandra, the most beautiful girl who I could not believe would date me. I was really confused. It took me a while to figure out she liked me because I could not could not fathom that such a beautiful, intelligent, smart, funny, sexy woman would have any interest in me. Anyway, I was on my way there. So that year ended. I went back to New York City. I started, made connections with some old friends that I knew. And so we started rooming together, got a room with one of them. These two other girls, I'm not a girl, but these two girls named Dana and Jane. Dana was a white chick and Jane was this Chinese American chick. We all rooming together because, you know, New York is expensive as hell. You gotta try to save money where you can. Which way? Let's go this way. And then I get a call from Naoki. He's like, "Hey man, I'm in New York City. Can I come stay with you?" I'm like, or why? He's like gonna stay in a hotel, and maybe I told my friends. I don't remember how it happened, but anyway, he ended up staying on our couch, and he was really cool. And I was driving a taxi in those days. Yeah, I drove a taxi in New York City because my dad did that when he was putting himself through college. My dad drove a taxi, and as I told you before, he's kind of my hero. And I wanted to, you know, so I was raised I wouldn't say with a silver spoon in my mouth, but I never wanted for anything, but I wasn't spoiled. Like I didn't get a new car or anything on my birthday or anything like that. My dad, I didn't get any, you know, I had to work for my allowance. I had to mow lawns, shit like that. But I was brought up in a well-to-do household, I suppose you could say. Well, that's interesting. Some guy built a little, there's no water in it now, but someone built a little Zen garden here. I don't know if anyone's here. It looks empty, no cars here. Look at that. Just so you can see it. Isn't that nice? It's beautiful, huh? Yeah, I'd like something like this. Looks like no one's here now, though. Anyway, I've never wanted for anything, but I've always worked hard. And I appreciate my father's hard work. So when I went off to college, I accepted tuition money, but I insisted on paying for the rest. So I could experience what life, you know, was struggling to pay the bills was like. Anyway, one of the ways I did that was doing exactly what my father did when he was young, and that was to drive a taxi. I drove a New York City taxi, you know, yellow cab taxi driver. I was a taxi driver. And Naoki came to New York City when I had started doing that. I was doing that at the time. So he'd come along on drives with me at night just to experience it, and that was fun. I remember some drunk woman insisting we were gay. "You're gay. It's okay. Go ahead, kiss each other." It's like, she was really homophobic. It's really weird. Anyway, so Naoki and I became friends, and he was there for a couple weeks, maybe I think about 2 weeks. I don't know. It was a long time ago. He went back to Japan. A couple years later, I'm ready to graduate. I kept in touch, and I wrote him a letter, because remember, we didn't have email or any shit like that in those days. I wrote him a letter, and I said, "You know, I'm going to be in Japan. I'm coming to Japan in August, and I'll look you up when I get there." And I flew into Tokyo, and unbeknownst to me, he was I don't know how he figured it out, but he was waiting for me at the Narita airport. I'm like, "What? How did you know I was going to be here?" I never told him the flight number or anything. I was really surprised. And he said, "Look, I stayed with you. Now you're going to stay with me." And that's exactly what happened. He threw me on the Shinkansen. Not literally, but he pulled me onto the Shinkansen. I guess he must have paid for that. Not come to think of it. It was a long time ago. I think I never thought about that. It must have been quite a bit of money. But he dragged me back to Nagoya, and then we took another train to Seto, where his family lived. Something that's beautiful, huh? Simple but beautiful. All of this is simple but beautiful. And we went, and I stayed at his house, and it was like a homestay. I remember my first night. They treated me to this huge Japanese feast in their home. And then afterwards, they're all like, everyone was tired. Of course, I was tired from my flight. And they said, everyone fell asleep at the table. We were sitting on tatami mats on a very short table, like a foot and a half off the ground. We had our meal. We had sake. At the end of the meal, we had manju, which is a kind of snack. Red bean filled, sweet, crushed beans paste. You know, it's a pastry. It's a pastry with the sweet red bean paste inside of it. Called manju, and a lot of foreigners don't like it, but I liked it. I had no problem with it. Clean up your dog shit, please. You know what's a sewer, man? Sewer stinks. Oh, gross. Yeah, it smells like a sewer. Anyway, so we everyone fell asleep at the table, and they said something ushi ni naru, which means become a cow. So after you pig out, it was typical for them, that family. I don't know if I've never seen another Japanese family do this, but they all laid down on the tatami and took a nap after dinner. And that's how I started in Japan. After that, I'd walk around. I went to the International Center, and they used to have a list of all the English schools there back in the day. And you could cold call all the schools and try to find a job that way. And that's what I did. Got a couple job offers, but I didn't know what was good, so I didn't say yes at first. But I ended up working for a place called Sunrise, which is now out of business. For a guy named Hiroki. I think his name was Hiroki. God, I can't remember his name anymore. I'm sure I wrote it down somewhere. But I started teaching, and I had no experience. I had no idea what I was doing. And they got me an apartment at Nakamura-ku, which is the same area I live in now. Just the area, though. Oh, this goes up to the river, so we're going to avoid that. Because it's hot as hell there. There's no shade. Anyway, I lived kind of near the main school, and they sent me out to Tajimi, which is a good 45-minute trip, maybe walking included, away from, I think it's near Gifu, yeah. I'm not sure if it's in Aichi, but it's on the border of Aichi and Gifu. And I would teach there at in an empty room on the 3rd floor of a building, and the owner was on the 1st floor, and he owned a coffee shop. I think his name was Mr. Ito. But that was my first experience teaching. I had minimal training. Really, there's turtles or something. Oh, turtles. Look at that. Yeah. Lots of turtles. There's 3 turtles right there. You see, I don't know if you guys can see them. There's one on the right up on the water, and there's 2 underwater. Anyway. And that's how I started teaching. Not the best experience teaching, but not bad. But they definitely didn't train me. I had to figure it out, think about it a lot, spend a lot of time figuring it out. My first year I spent every night, most nights, at home with a dictionary. And this dictionary had a bunch of example sentences. So you'd look up a word. It was English, Japanese, Japanese, English. And I'd look up a word regarding something I wanted to say. And I look at all the example sentences because I had a bunch of example sentences, and I'd figure out how to say it. So I basically learned that way, and I underlined everything that I looked up, so I would know if I'd looked it up twice. Because of course you look things up twice and you forgot. Oh, I looked it up already. I've forgotten about that. So just to remind myself, and if I ever looked up something twice, the first time I looked it up, I use a black pen. If I noticed that I looked up something before, there's another turtle. The next time I'd use a red pen. So after a while, if I would look up something 2 or 3 times, and you could see the different colored pens on that entry in the dictionary, on the word, right? And then I would start to feel stupid, like, dude, you've looked this up 3 times, you still can't remember. I just picked this up off the ground. It's nothing, just a little leather strap. But I pick up shit all the time. I'll look at it and I'll say, oh, let's see if this is useful. Nope, it's broken, can't use it. Put it down. My strong zero is empty. Too bad. I got a small one today. Don't want to drink too much. And I knew this wasn't a super long trip. But then I found out, I don't know how I found out. Somehow, oh yeah, I must have looked at a newspaper or gone to the Kokusai Center or the International Center again, And I found out about a part-time job at a place called Kyoto Yale, which is also out of business now. They were teaching English in Hisaya Dori, which is one stop north of Sakai. And I got a part-time job there on Thursdays. That's how it started. It's all connections, man. I started working there on Thursdays. I'm gonna go down this road because I've never been down this road, but I know exactly where I am now. And I met other foreigners who worked there, and it was a pretty weird setup. What they had is they had drawers, they had files full of lessons in the back, and then they had this big lobby. Well, not lobby, but this big I don't know what you want to call it. A big room full of chairs and tables, and each table had about 4 chairs on it maximum. And what would happen is people would come in to chat with an English teacher, and there was a chart in the front when you walked in as a student to show what teachers were on duty at the time. And they could request your class, or they could just go with whoever. And they would like put people in generally the same levels. It didn't always work that way though. Like, so for example, you're an intermediate. So you say I'm an intermediate, and you go in there and you say, I want to take a class right now, 1 o'clock. And every class was like 45 minutes. So you go for the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, on the hour, right? And we would be waiting there, and we had just prepared our class. And the way we would prepare is either prepare our own lesson, or we would go into their library of books and make a copy of whatever lessons they had on hand. Then we would go out to our tables and do a lesson with the students. It must have been 3 students maximum. Anyway, I started teaching there on Thursdays, and I think they paid, I want to say like $3,500 an hour. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. But if you worked like 6 hours or 6 classes, it's pretty good extra money, Off the bat, it's like you'd make a good 15,000 yen in a day. And most importantly for me, I guess at that point, was I made friends. I made friends with Mark, who I'm still friends with today, and Tom, who I lost touch with, and a guy named Greg, who went crazy. I mean, literally insane. But all those guys, foreigners, they teach you, or they introduce you to other jobs. Where am I, man? Now I'm lost. Now I'm lost. Anyway, that's how I started getting private jobs. Like Greg left the country. He's like, I'm leaving now, so I'm going to leave. So do you want to take my privates? I got these 4 housewives I teach out in Yagoto. This is a fancy area. All you got to do is sit with them for 1 hour and do a class, and then sit with them for 30 minutes and have coffee, and it pays 5,000 yen. I'm like, okay, cool, that's fine. And that's how I got my first private class. And everyone, that's how you make, you find classes like that. You make connections, and that's how my life started. At that particular eikaiwa, that's what they call those English schools, I met a girl named Yasuko, and my first day on the job was her last day on the job. I mean, last day at school as a student. And she was a girl who worked at Maruzen, which is a huge bookstore at the time. Still is a big bookstore. But she worked at a bookstore. And she was gorgeous. I thought she was funny and energetic and gorgeous. And I thought, okay, so now I know a girl that I think is cute, so I'm going to stalk her like a madman. So I ended up going to Maruzen a few times and asking her out and talking to her. And I did it a few times, and at first she kind of brushed me off, but finally she said yes. I think it took like 4 visits before she would agree to go on a date with me. And finally she went on a date with me, and we really hit it off. Like, we had a great chemistry. But the funny thing is, her English was not very good. And my Japanese was non-existent. I mean, almost really non-existent. I even remember our first date. We went to some fancy cocktail bar in Sakai, and this, nicely dressed waitress brought us our drinks. And she brought a drink. My date, Yasuko, she had a drink that required had the option of adding Tabasco sauce to it. So they brought her cocktail, and they brought Tabasco sauce, you know, on the tray as well, and said, you know, you can ask Tabasco if you like. Then they brought me my drink, and I don't remember what it was. I have no memory at all of what it was. It was probably a beer. I don't know. I'm not a cocktail guy, but maybe I ordered something. Who knows? But as a joke, I grabbed her. I picked up her bottle of Tabasco and pretended to as if I were going to add it to my drink. And the waitress, very rudely and angrily, came over and said, "That is not for you. That's for her to use on her drink." And that was my first, I didn't know it then, but that was my first experience of the underlying, well, I don't know. Maybe she's just a bitch. Maybe it has nothing to do with xenophobia or racism, but I thought that was pretty rude. In yesterday's video, or the last video, the video I posted called the 11-year-old Karen. You can look on it. It's a 40-minute video, almost 39-minute video. A lot of people commented that I'm sure that wouldn't have happened if you were Japanese, and I agree. And of course, hell, my whole 32 years here in Japan would be completely different if I were Japanese. But I'm not. So everything I experience is of course through the eyes of this, American expat. But I've had a pretty good time. And now I've got 2 kids and a wife and a house and various jobs, and I'm pretty happy. I put on quite a bit of weight. I was 78 kilograms when I came. Now I'm 93. I'm actually down. My height was 97, so I'm stronger than I ever was. And my Japanese is pretty goddamn good, but I'm definitely not satisfied with it. And here's the thing about Japanese. If you just try a little bit, you'll be in the top 10, but even if you're in the top 10, it doesn't mean much because nobody tries. So although I can quite confidently say I'm probably one of the best Japanese speakers best Japanese speaking foreigners you'll ever meet, and definitely better than 95% of all the other foreigners here in Japan, it doesn't mean really shit. I still think my Japanese should be better. But besides that, I'd say besides my Japanese and my slight weight gain, I'd say I'm pretty happy in Japan. There are a lot of horror stories. People get married and they get divorced and their wives become cold. But I've been lucky, I think. My wife is still warm on occasion. My kids are fun. I have a stable salary coming in from various sources every month. And I got you guys to listen to me. And that's important to me. That really has been important. When I started YouTube about 15 years ago or so, I guess I was halfway through on my journey here in Japan, because I've been here 32 years, right? So about 15 years ago, that's when I started YouTube. I never realized how important YouTube would become. Anyway, that's all I got for you now, but I do want to thank you for listening and sweating with me on this walk out in the country. It's almost 5 o'clock now. Time to go. But yeah. They say I've been reading a lot of Greek philosophers recently, and they say all good thoughts. No, this is Nietzsche actually. All good thoughts come when you're walking. Walking helps thinking, and I gotta say that I don't have the luxury of being able to walk and think and talk much these days, but when I do, I'm glad. I really enjoy it. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go now. I'm sweating my ass off. I'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching, and if you want to watch more, definitely do subscribe. More importantly, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. I really do appreciate them. I read them all. I look forward to all of them. Too hot to look into the sun now. Talk to you guys soon.
Give me a break, man. Give him a break.